Guys, I'm excited. We are live with Marisa Johnson, who is back for TennisCon 8. Thank you so much, first of all, for being part of this great event again. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure.
And today we're going to be going over some fitness stuff. And those of you who have not followed Marisa on Instagram, definitely do that because she's got some great exercises. Really good tennis player, but you seem to really focus on fitness. So first of all, talk us through that. How did you kind of have fitness be the big passion of your tennis program?
So I actually started out coaching in 2015, right after I graduated college. And like any new coach in the industry, my focus was technique and helping people really master that form. But the more I was getting into fitness for myself, after college, I had a little bit of a, let's just say, weight gain and
Uh-huh.
I just wanted to feel good and strong for myself. I started to get into fitness for me. And that's when I started to really pair the fitness aspect with my clients on the court. And the importance of just being well positioned and strong in the legs and balanced and all of that is so transformative for the players that I just kind of started rolling with it. And I created this free 7-day footwork challenge, which I can share the link later. But yeah, there you go. I literally put that out into the world, and people were just like, yes, this is what I need. I need footwork and positioning because if I'm not well positioned for the ball, then the technique doesn't even transfer. And once I started to find that little niche and start getting really fit for myself, I just started kind of to roll with that and take it to the next level with creating programs and getting really into helping just people to feel limitless, pretty much. I
Hmm.
want them
Hmm.
to feel really capable and be able to do what they're telling their body to do on the court. And in order to make that happen, you got to add some good fitness stuff.
Absolutely. First of all, I want to thank everybody who's joined us at 3 o'clock. We already have almost 50 people on, so that's really exciting. And as you come on in, say where you're from. Let us know if you have any fitness or tennis questions at all through this whole thing. We will definitely get to your questions. Today, what Marissa's going to be doing, we're going to be talking about tennis fitness, and she's also going to be doing some demonstration and show you guys some exercises that you can do at home or on the court, maybe for your match, so that you can. Oh, my live stream is picked up on my computer. But anyway, stuff you can do at home or on the court. So this is really valuable stuff. And I think one thing that I want to make clear, and I'm sure you agree with me, is we always think of when we think of technique, we always think of the swing and our hands, and we miss the shot, we look at our racket.
Mhm.
But I saw a really good interview from Andy Roddick just a couple weeks ago, and he
Mhm.
was saying that Jimmy Connors stopped him one time in practice. He's like, "Why are you not working on your footwork like right now? Like as soon as you start hitting?" And he just said, "Wow, that was a good point."
Mhm.
And then he said, if you're looking to develop a player, it's from the ground up. And what you're doing in your feet, there is an art to it as well. There's technique to it as well. The only technique in tennis is not hitting and swinging. It's how you get to the ball and how you position yourself and how your body's flowing through that shot and you're landing, right?
Mhm. No, yeah, 100%. Honestly, it's almost like the technique of the feet. It's definitely part of the stroke. And most often, especially with recreational adult players, I see they like, oh, my shot's not working. I need to go get a tennis lesson. And they focus the whole time on that technique. And it's like, okay, that's good. They they are understanding what you're saying, but to get that mind body connection, there is literally a flow to it, and I like to call it like there's actually a rhythm. It's almost like a little dance that you have to do in order to position yourself well for the ball, in order to do the technique in the first place. So 100% ground up. I 100% agree.
All right. Well, I want to acknowledge some comments. We have Tom Nordstrom, who seems to make every live stream. He is awesome. And said Marissa's been great on prior tennis cons. And as an orthopedic surgeon, I know most of us are out of shape. Statistically, 70% of Americans do not exercise, but not us totally obsessed tennis players. But I do think a lot of us can do more off the court, or even if you're on the court doing some preparation. We're almost at 60 people. I'm super excited this is happening at 3 o'clock. This shows how totally obsessed you are. In fact, look at this. Hope says she's in Bonita Springs, Florida, a perfect way to spend an afternoon while waiting for a Category 4 or 5 hurricanes. Well, first of all, thank you for being on here, and Hope, make sure you're safe. And I'm sure our prayers go out to her, right, Marisa?
Yes. Oh my gosh. I'm actually been thinking about the fact that, I mean, I have clients and people that are, doing my programs, and they're all out in Florida, and they're really grateful that I kind of presenting this at home tennis option while they're, if they're safe, then they're able to do something to keep them mentally up and physically up. But honestly, I mean, prayers going out to all of the people affected by Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton coming. It's a scary time.
It's a crazy time. Tom Nordstrom, who's also in West Palm Beach, he says it's raining here. And then Mary says, thank you for this. I really want to improve my fitness. I'm 68, in good shape, but need to do a daily regime of to improve my fitness. And one more. So Stephen says, can you go over any exercises for, I don't know if that's really what we're going to talk about today, but do you have anything for a torn medial meniscus? Do you know anything about that, or that might be a little bit
Well,
out of our realm today?
I'm not going to say that's part of my expertise. I'm not a PT as far as like getting if you're already injured. I can give injury preventative exercises, which we will be getting into. But I actually did just watch a video on YouTube yesterday about a torn meniscus. So this is kind of interesting. You can take a towel, or if you don't have a towel at all, I could kind of show you right here.
I'm gonna put you in solo layout.
Yeah, whatever knee is it, kind of just like pull it with a towel and hold the pressure for like 5 to 10 seconds. If that hurts, stop immediately. But this is kind of more of a like physical therapy, hopefully to get you that strength back. And just kind of hold that pressure 5 to 6 seconds, and then let go, and then do it again. And that's one that I literally just saw from another YouTube channel. So, and he was a legit physical therapist. I would start there, but I'm not going to give any quote medical advice, because I don't want anyone to get hurt.
I think that, solid advice. Sometimes solid advice is not giving advice. I had to tell somebody the same thing. So bonjour from Quebec. I mean, just thank you guys so much for being on. We got about 65 people on right now, so this is amazing. So I think it would be good if you kind of go over, we talked about what we're going to do today. We're going to work on our footwork, our balance, maybe a little bit of cardio. So
yeah,
maybe walk people through a good little routine that they could do either at home or maybe 15 minutes before they are going to hit the court.
Okay, great. Let me move my chair here. Move that out of the way. Okay, I'm hoping that you can see my little setup here. Oops. Okay. So I love to start. There's a couple different areas that you can start with, and kind of speaking about getting into a daily routine, you want to kind of also think about it we can talk about what you're going to do to warm up for a match, and then also what you can do throughout the week to help in all areas. So this is labeled strength, footwork, and balance, because those are some really strong areas that a tennis player specifically should be focusing on. So let's go through a little warm up to get into, maybe you're going to play a match today, or maybe you just want to warm up before you're playing singles or doubles. Either way, we can start by warming up the basic muscle groups, and we'll start from the feet. So what I have, that's my favorite thing ever, are these rotational trainers. This is just a jump rope, basically cut in half, or not even in half, but it's cut off. This is so that you can do this at home, but if you have a real jump rope, by all means, you can use that. So we'll start with getting just a little bit of a jump going. So this trains your wrists. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. This trains your wrists. And what you want to do when you're starting to get into this little rotation is make sure that the wrists are by your hips. And when you start to get the flow going together, you can start adding a little hop, okay? So this is just a really simple way, not only to get comfortable with being on your toes and warming up those fast twitch muscle fibers in your calves so that you can really get that speed going, but this is a number one warm up, and also, in my opinion, exercise to build endurance, to build speed. And it's so good if you do this for as many seconds as you can. Maybe you can do 20-second sprints, maybe you can do 40-second sprints, and rotating this with just a few other things to get the glutes engaged, because when we're about to play tennis on the court, we want to make sure to get our glutes engaged and really warm up our hips for mobility. So if you're getting more into that warm up phase, right? If you have a nice piece of ground for 90-90s, this is really good for your hip mobility. So you're just turning from side to side, right? And you're warming up the hips. You can even get the arms going by doing some reverse tabletop. And you can do this as kind of like a little mobility to get warmed up. So you're engaging the core, you're engaging the glutes, you're warming up the hips. And honestly, I'm a huge fan of yoga for tennis. So a really nice stretch during this warm-up, one of my favorites that I love to do is a simple downward dog, where you're just stretching your calves, and you can warm up by doing a little inchworm, right? Lifting up, going back out, getting into that plank. And this is such a good move for warming up your entire body. So you're warming up your arms, you're engaging your core, you're stretching your legs, and it's more so relaxing than a workout, which is why it's kind of part of that mobility and warm up that you can do before we get into our playing tennis. The next thing you kind of want to get into, there's two more spots, right? We want to kind of get the strength going in our legs. So also the rotation of our upper body. My favorite move is a squat to a rotational knee to elbow. And then I call this the rotational march. So you squat and you elbow to knee. And this is so good for your rotation. Oops, I did the wrong side. Haha. You're so good for your rotation and just getting the legs warmed up. As well as if you have a band, keep it in your bag. There's so many moves, oh my goodness. But anything to get the rotation going in your upper body and the core engaged. So you can pull apart your resistance band, keep the hips neutral, and just go side to side. And really think about keeping the hips straight forward so that you can just work on the upper body rotation. Also to warm up the shoulders. These band, hopefully you guys can see this band here, extending, really good warm up for the shoulders. If you can hook the band onto something, I have a little hook, but I don't have anywhere to hook it. But you can do internal shoulder rotations where if the band was hooked over here, you can tuck your elbow, go back and forth, right? And you can even do overhead things, overhead press if you have some type of dumbbell too. And then the last thing, I know I'm kind of jumping all over with the different areas of the body, but my favorite warm up for the hip mobility, as well as kind of getting the balance, are hip mobility lunges, where you lunge to the side, right? Make sure that's 90 degrees and that the knee's not going past the toe. So we don't want that, but we want more like this. And then making this go out and then this one go in. So you're going basically from lunging to one side, right? And then lunging to the other. And the toes facing the complete opposite direction, that's a really good note that you're gonna wanna make. And this really wakes up the hips, and just do about like 10 of those. But those are some really good warm-up exercises. I think I was seeing some questions, so I wanted to stop before I got into any more.
Well, first of all, that is great, and we're over 70, and I want to kind of make a little matchmaking here. That's what I love about this community. Is look at this from Tom. Tom goes, Ken. He plays in West Beach, and sometimes both the private clubs are really nice, public courts. So you guys message each other, and that would be so awesome if you go out and you hit together. So how cool is that?
So
Uh,
fun.
yeah, that's awesome. And then Hope is 66. She says that she makes it a point to do a boot camp style workout, 5 to 6 days. That's amazing. I
That's a
found
long.
that speed and agility training, athletic conditioning helps a lot. Jump rope, ladder. Oh, that's so good. Core. And that's the thing that I loved. I think everybody, the two no brainers watching you do is I think it would be cool if you do struggle with a jump rope is
Mm-hmm.
to get those jump ropes that don't have so you don't have to jump over it. I really thought that was really cool, and everybody should have bands. Tom Brady is big on bands and says that
Mm-hmm.
he feels that because he works with bands mostly over weights, that was one of the reasons why he was able to play longer than a lot of his comrades who would
Mm-hmm.
basically just lift a ton of weights, but it would
Mm-hmm.
end up hurting them. So,
Yeah.
really, really good stuff. Ken says thank you for the connection, so maybe they will do it. Uh, yeah, and Steve says he likes that hop. You don't have to be an expert with the jump rope.
You don't, yeah. And
Hmm.
honestly, too, like there are so many opportunities to get in, um, full body work without any equipment. Even if you didn't have the rotational trainers, you can just fake the wrist twists. Like, and I tell people that often because the workout program I created, it is centered around jump roping. But if someone's like, I don't have a jump rope, or I keep stumbling on it and I'm not getting the effectiveness of the workout, then you can just pull it out, do that where you're not tripping on the rope. And then you can also get the wrist flexibility going, because that's pretty big with the tennis technique itself,
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
having loose wrists in your strokes, having that little bend, really helpful.
I want to give you a really great plug right now for your TennisCon presentation.
Hmm.
Guys, make sure, since you're on here, you obviously care about this. Otherwise, you wouldn't be on here. So, everybody who's here, I applaud you. When TennisCon 8 comes out and we release the day that Marissa's doing her workout, don't just watch it, do it. Because I did your video, and I can tell you that even some of the moves that looked easy, like you start to feel like your leg burning, like you did some stationary kind of shadow swings. I noticed that as I was getting to, I don't know how many seconds you did it, maybe like between 20 and 40 seconds. But as I was getting to the end and like set 2 or 3, I started to go, wow, my leg is burning. Like all this stuff, when you watch it, sometimes you're like, oh, okay, I get that. That's a good idea. Maybe someday I'll get around to it. The way that she makes her presentation is so good this year because she basically, it's a you can work along with it, and she has a timer, so she shows you like, hey, we're starting this exercise in 5 4 3 2 1, and then you're doing it. And then what's really cool is on the rest she shows you the next exercise that you're getting ready to do. So she always shows you the next exercise you're going to do, and then she counts you down and you go into it. So it is so well done. It's so easy to follow along, and after you do the workout, you're going to feel like, hey, I did like a real workout, and you're also going to feel great. And it hits everything that we're talking about today. So I definitely want to take you in a couple different directions here, but I do think since we've got a great question, what do you do after a tennis session? So maybe we can go over a couple of those
Yeah.
exercises that you're thinking of.
Yeah. I think honestly, it does depend on what you do during your tennis session, because I'm a big fan of listening to the body. And if your tennis session is playing a match and your match is a hard match, personally, I'm like, hey, workout done for the day, but can do some stretching and a little bit of mobility afterwards. But it does depend on Well, can I get into a little bit of routine? Is that okay
Yeah,
with you?
absolutely.
Okay, so a lot of people struggle because they have a hard time saying, "Hey, I've already played tennis for 2 hours today and I just don't have the energy to do any more. What should I do?" And one of my biggest things that I have to tell people, especially the older generation, that they really are like, "Hey, I want to be fit and I want to live long and I want to feel mobile." It is really important to, I'm not going to say like to avoid tennis, but like more than you are playing. But if you are playing tennis like 2 to 3 hours every single day, I think you should take a portion of that tennis time and just dedicate those 30 minutes to strength. Strength is something that I believe should be happening 3 to 4 times a week. Okay, so strength training, it would be things, anything that's pushing you to build that muscle. Another one is to getting into the footwork and like endurance type things. That should be happening at least twice a week. And I wouldn't honestly count tennis as part of that unless you're working a private lesson where they're doing legit footwork drills with you. Because it's different to say, okay, I'm going to go rally with my friends or play a friendly doubles fun match, and where you're not really training that footwork and endurance. It's more so just fun play, right? So just 30 minutes, take away from that time and then say like, all right, I got to do my footwork positioning today. I got to do my endurance, 3 days from now, and make yourself that plan. And then the other 2 days of the week or so, I would personally do mobility and injury prevention, and or just stretching and make it a real rest day. So
Hmm.
that's, if you can fit that to your tennis schedule where it's like, hey, I'm not just, playing my tennis here every single day, or even if you only do it a couple times a week, but that's kind of the routine that I personally follow myself, and is for, in my opinion, optimal performance, because you will be building that muscle and you will be still getting your footwork training, still getting your strength, still finding your balance. And that's kind of like the routine that I think that every player should start to incorporate, even if each session is just 30 minutes.
Hmm.
So to circle back to the question, depending on what you do on the court would tell you what to do after that tennis session. If it is just friendly doubles and you're not really feeling like that's a workout, what would your pair be for your weekly routine to say, like, hey, well, now that I've done my tennis, I'm going to do my strength workout and it's going to be a full body strength workout. Or, and like I said, these don't have to be long. It can be 30 minutes, they can be 45 minutes, but you don't need to kill yourself over that amount of time, in my opinion, because you're already exercising. So if the person did respond and they were like, this is the type of tennis I was doing, then I could get a lot more specific. But
Well, I can ask you some questions, and then I just want to look at this. We made a match. Look, they're doing sending cell phone numbers. Everything's happening right now. This is so
fun.
cool. But okay, so I can tell you this:
Mm-hmm.
I can never get enough information
Mm-hmm.
and exercises. I'm always looking for the miracle cure, and I think that I'm not alone in this camp. After I play, the things that are going to hurt me are my lower back,
Mm-hmm.
my hips and my hamstrings, and then also I notice lately my feet are getting more and more sore and
Mm-hmm.
stiff after I'm on the court teaching for a
Goodness.
number of hours.
Yeah.
So I notice when I kind of cool down that my feet can like just feel like two bricks. So can
Yeah.
you maybe give us two or three exercises, and I'll
Yeah.
put you in solo layout for those specific areas?
Yeah, I think also it does help to do your like actual exercise before tennis. Because a lot of times we're doing after tennis stuff and we just don't have the energy because the sun itself is exhausting, and also depending on how that tennis session goes, it might totally rip apart our motivation to do any more. But let me get my little tennis ball. The first thing I'm thinking of initially, because we're talking about those kind of more so pain areas,
Hmm.
my mind goes straight to not necessarily exercise, but myofascial release to
Right.
break up the calcium buildup in our um, body there. So if you have a lacrosse ball or a tennis ball, I'm a huge fan of, I do this at least once a week, rolling. So just rolling on your feet and finding those problem areas. Personally, right now, I'm dealing with a super duper duper minor bone spur on my left heel, and it comes and goes. But if I do a tennis match and I'm running all over, I'm definitely feeling it like, hey, deal with me. And I'm feeling that after my match for sure. And even the next day sometimes. So I take massage and I'm just rubbing it out, like legit rubbing out the where I feel those kind of tension build up and also any pain areas. If you're feeling it in your lower back, in your hips, sit on a ball. Lacrosse balls are better than tennis balls, to be honest, because they're harder, or if you have a roller, but sit on it, even to lift up your leg, and it'll get it even deeper. Find your problem areas. See, I'm already finding one where I'm like, ooh, I could sit here for 30 seconds and try to break up that buildup. And when you do that, that feels amazing. You can lay it on your lower back. You can put it on your shoulders on a wall, kind of just, you know, rolling around. I know you can't really see that well, but there's a ball and
We get it. Hmm.
there's a ball and there's the wall. And that's
Hmm.
really all you need, other than afterwards doing those nice light stretches or any mobility work too. Um, I I always go back to my favorite stretches, and you can think about, you know, which one feels best for the pain that you're dealing with. But we've got the world's greatest stretch, right?
Oh, I want to see that.
We're
Yep.
rotating, right? And we're just, it just feels good, especially after tennis, where you're just like, wow, I just wanna feel good, right? And then I like doing pigeon pose if you can get to this point, and then you can even work on building a little bit of strength where you're like leaning forward and then leaning back. You can put your hands out. You can switching sides, that downward dog again. Lift the leg, put it in. This is kind of getting more into the yoga aspect of it, but I highly recommend yoga once a week because it just feels awesome. So yoga or any type of stretch once a week is kind of like a rest day that I think everyone should be taking.
Awesome. Awesome stuff. That was great, by the way. Um,
Good.
yeah. Also, everybody watching out there, if you're enjoying this live stream, I'm doing a lot of live streams leading up to TennisCon 8. And as you get going and you keep seeing how amazing this content is, if you upgrade, because you can watch TennisCon for free for a limited time, but if you upgrade, you get lifetime access. And all of these amazing live streams I've been doing are going to go in the lifetime library. Okay. So this will be in there if you want to refer back to it, because she's giving some golden stuff out there. Okay. How about this? Is a really good one. Hi, Marisa. What exercise do you recommend working for coordination, reflexes,
Mm.
speed at the net? By the way, we're at 85 people at 3 o'clock. That's amazing. Hmm.
Okay, I love it. Okay, so reaction skills. You can do a lot with a ball, by the way, but reaction skills. And I'm gonna turn my back on the camera for a second, but I'm
That's
hoping
okay.
that it still transfers.
We hear you good and we see you excellent. So don't worry about it.
Okay,
Okay.
so if you have a ball and a wall, you can work on kind of working on like kind of shuffle side to side, right? So we're kind of putting it to a point on the wall. Let's just say this is my point. Then I want to hit that point and shuffle to the side, right? So we're working on that reaction skill. You can also work on with your racket. I do a ton of shadow swinging because when it comes to reaction, I don't know if a lot of people realize it, But the timing of your feet is what makes the reaction go. And I honestly do believe that people have a lot better reaction time than they think. It's more so just timing the feet to get connected to the swing. So at the net, one of the biggest things that you want to work on is timing the split step, right? Wider feet, wider than the shoulders. Got to get the heels off the ground. But then just simply doing split, step, split, step, split, step. You could have a ball machine going on, and if you have access to that, set that up. You could have a friend tossing to you as fast as you can, and you could take things out of the air, doing reflex volleys with a friend. Really, really helpful. But you kind of want to focus mostly on just timing the feet. And the rhythm of it, in case you're curious, it goes after you split, you immediately step. And a lot of times people struggle with the split step is because they tend to do a split and then they almost wait and then they step. So the goal to help with that reaction time is to actually get the timing to where you are split stepping and like it's a constant motion, because as you're at the net, you should never have your heels on the ground, okay? You want to keep going, and you also want to keep that racket head up. That's number one, and this is kind of more technique, but keep the racket head up if you want reaction skills at the net. It's got to be in the middle, by your head, and it's that simple layback, and as if you can time the feet with the layback so that it goes step, and they go together, and that's going to really help you just like a ton. So notice the rhythm and the pattern, split, step, and I've already made my little pop, right? I've made my volley pop. And that's a really good, just kind of technical, but also like those are the kind of drills that I would do if I wanted to build my reaction skills. And anything where you're tossing the ball and kind of like getting like faster at, oh, I got to catch it here, I got to catch it there. So that's what I would do personally.
Great stuff. As you said what you were saying, it reminded me of a lesson I had today. I had a guy come up from Florida, and he said, I am just so bad at overheads. And he had a pretty good serve too. Like the guy had a really good serve motion. So it was surprising. And I fed him lobs, and sure enough, he really struggled with his overhead. He was missing a lot. And I could see right away that it was two things. Number one, his hand-eye when the ball was going high was tough. So I literally had him catching balls for a while. When I would have him low, he could catch it pretty good. But when it went up there, he had a tough time. Also, once he had to look up, kind of his feeling, his coordination, and his legs went away. So it looked like he was a little unsteady, like he almost might fall. So that's the thing that I just can't stress enough is sometimes I just have the feeling you watch this stuff and you're like, oh, that's a good idea. But if you actually go against the wall like Marisa was and throw the ball and do that, your hand-eye coordination is going to get better. Your tracking skills will improve. The racket is just an extension of our expression of what we're doing with our body. Other than that, it doesn't do anything. So the more you get in touch with how the hands are moving, how you're acting to the ball, and then catching it and seeing it go into the sweet spot of your hand, you're going to do better once you put the racket in your hand.
Yeah.
So I think that's the big thing, is willing to do these little things. And then the footwork exercises that you were doing, I was also recommending to him, like, I think what you need to do is practice your footwork movements for an overhead without a ball, so you can get more comfortable and confident what you're doing. Where lots of times we just want to go, the best way to get better at tennis is just feed me some balls, or like I'll just get a great tip and then I'll go do my match. So what you're doing is really, really awesome.
Yeah, I have a point right there, because honestly, never, ever, ever underestimate the power of a shadow swing. I have 4.0 level playing adults that still do not have the rhythm and timing because they think they're a little bit too good for shadow swinging. But then when it comes down to it, you can have a stroke where you're going, you can be at home and you can say, okay, I'm going to split and then run to a pretend ball set my feet and swing. And sure enough, even setting the feet, which is going to help a lot with your balance and consistency, is something that it's like the brain has to work to make this happen. So do it at home. So when you do hit the court, you can actually do the thing. So you split, you move, you set, you swing, you recover. You split, you move, you set, you swing. That's the rhythm. That's a little dance, right? Also, I had thought of something. I thought of a really good exercise specifically for that overhead one, if you don't mind me sharing it.
Go ahead. You're in
This
solo
is
layout.
really good for your balance and for your tracking. And it's a little tricky, so bear with me. But if you stand on one leg, and I know we can't see my hand all the way, but I'm going to toss the ball. Stand on the opposite leg, toss the ball, and catch. Now, I had to put my foot down already, right? I'm looking up, trying to catch something. Hopefully you guys can see.
We get it.
I'm looking up, trying to catch something while balancing on a leg. And this is one that's super game-changing to do at home. So you balance on and do it on both sides. No neglecting a side. We balance on one, we toss, we catch. Ooh, we catch ourselves. And this is really good for the overhead stuff. So I know you can't see, but I'm catching the ball. Where we look at overhead stuff and then we catch our balance. And that's a really good drill to do. I would do that for like 5 minutes every day if that was a focus for you. And just do like 10 on each side, or you can count how many you're trying to get. But it's very beneficial.
Guys, I'm going to, just for 1 second, Marisa, I'm going to put myself in solo layout because right next to me right here is her 7-day footwork challenge. And I just put that link in the chat. So if you wanted to try this out for free, you get a 7-day footwork challenge. And you can see that she's got so many great ideas and great routines that I would definitely take advantage of this. Master your split step, improve your recovery, build your speed on court, just 5 minutes a day. So definitely make sure you take advantage of that. Again, it is right there in the chat. And I also want to thank everybody. We've been close to 90 people. People are leaving great comments today. Like Michael says, this is great stuff. I know Michael from Texas, awesome guy. And also, whether we've seen it or not, I've actually seen Carlos Alcaraz at the Cincinnati tournament. And yeah, he does lots of hand-eye coordination stuff. His brother is actually usually with him. If you see kind of a guy who's kind of stocky, that's his brother who's got the same dark hair as Carlos. And they do lots of different hand-eye coordination stuff before they hit the court. And he also does a lot of it on one leg, by the way. Yeah. So
one leg. Add the one leg to get the balance aspect of it, but do the hand-eye to get the reaction aspect of it.
Well, it seems to me that you've kind of gone through a lot of different things. Certainly the last thing you're doing is kind of your balance and coordination at the same time. You've shown us some shadow swings. You've shown us some ways to recover our back with the tennis ball. Is there anything before we stop today that you definitely want to show people, or have we kind of shown a good sample of what they're going to see at TennisCon? Let me know.
Let's see. I think there's one more for the strength building aspect of, and also the rotational build that I think is really important to note. And that's that if you do have access to a gym, medicine ball work is, I'm sure you've seen a lot of tennis players do, and it's for a good reason, because if you're looking to build strength in that rotational core and in your upper body to like build speed in your racket head, then there's some really great moves you can do. I'm sure you've seen like medicine ball wall throws. But I wanted to give a really quick tip for those that don't have access to a gym or a medicine ball. But if you have a dumbbell or something heavy, even just like a heavy sack or whatever you have around the house, I want to show this one couple moves, because I just grabbed it from my little dumbbell case here. But if you don't have access to do medicine ball type things, you can do rotational things where you kind of square up, you're looking ahead, and you can work on from side to side. So you can work on down to up. And this is really good full body to get going on lunging to the side. So we're leaning in for balance on our right side. It might be your left if you're looking. And then we pivot when we go up. So this really gets that lateral line extension, and then doing that from the other side, right? So you can do a lot with a dumbbell. You can even, sorry if that blurred up a little bit, you can even pretend that you're already in stance for the stroke that you want to do. Let's just say forehand closed stance shot, right? You might see this in the video, but kind of getting not a throw because we have a dumbbell, but pivoting and doing this with even without a racket, but this will build the strength. And you can do this on both sides. You can even do a lunge where you're lunging. This is another one for balance. And you can take it from one side over the head to the other. And you're looking for balance. And you're also basically training that overhead motion. You're training the pivoting, so you're getting the hip mobility. And there's just a lot that you can replicate with a dumbbell. So I wanted to point out not to be shy with those if you don't have access to medicine balls or, all that other stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was great. And it's amazing how many times I recommend my students who I'm watching, they're struggling to get that feeling in the hip and the way you're talking about the pivot. And so they're just not getting the kinetic chain to sync up the right way. And I'll say, you know what you really need to do? Have you ever seen the pros, the way they throw the medicine ball against the wall, just like you just said? It is so important because sometimes the person maybe isn't strong enough, but other times I'm like, they're strong. They just don't feel that coordination. And so the more they do drills like that and sort of feel that power, what you're showing, then they're going to be able to feel that power eventually on the court when they hit the ball. Because once you sync it up, most people are out there are strong enough. They maybe they feel that they're not because they're not hitting the ball as hard as they want. But once you feel it all sync up and release at the right time, that is when you hit your shot where you're like, man, I felt effortless. That's when you do that. So very, very important to do those exercises that Marisa was talking about. So this was amazing today. Great, great work. Also, everybody out there who watched today, you were amazing. We were close to 90 people at this time. I kept telling Marisa, I'm like, I don't know how many people are going to show up. Like it's 3 o'clock. And so
but it's 12 o'clock here. So
it's 12 o'clock and it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah.
Right? But yeah, you guys are amazing. A lot of people on from Florida. So I just hope that you are in a safe place. And if you're not, get to a safe place. Definitely appreciate everybody's time today. And make sure you check out Marisa's TennisCon presentation. Make sure, I'll put this right here. I put the link in the chat. If you go to that link that's in the chat, you're going to be able to get this and go start working today for free. And also, how do you find you on Instagram? I'm not so hip on Instagram. How would if somebody's going, man, I like her, I want to find her on Instagram. What's the quickest way to find you on Instagram? What do you do when you get to the app?
I would type in, well, it's just my name, Marisa J Official. The only weird part is that I don't spell it with 2 S's. I spell it with 1 S. So if you just search Marisa J Official, I should pop up. Also, if you type in Rip It Tennis, I think that it also might show up. But don't quote me on it because I haven't actually tried that. So I should probably.
Thank you.
My YouTube channel is Rip It Tennis, and that's also the name of my business. So.
Okay, look at that. I'm subscribed on Marisa's YouTube channel a long time. And then we also have James saying, thank you both. Wonderful tips. So thank you guys so much. This was really good. Marisa, you did amazing. And we'll see you guys in a couple of days. I'm going to be going live on Friday with Brent Abel, who's got like 30,000 gold balls. And seriously, he's got 21 gold balls and he's won, I think, like 9 of them in the last couple of years. So that's going to be really good. And then on Monday, I'm going to be going live with Gabby Paz, former top 200 player. So I'm really looking forward to that. So guys, just keep checking your email and checking this stuff out. TennisCon's already off to an amazing start. We haven't even started. So I appreciate all your support. You guys, every time you show up and support these live streams, it gives me more energy to keep going and doing more. And I'm sure Marissa feels the same way. So we appreciate all that.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone, for coming on, and especially you, Peter, for hosting TennisCon and getting us all connected in the community of tennis coaches. It's really inspiring, and I just love everything you do. So really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, you guys take care. Have a good day out there. Stay safe.